Hi, my name is Nathan with Nice at Dice, and today I am doing a video tour of my entire product line of organizer inserts for the Unmatched game system. Now, this is the second or third video like this I've done, but I figured it was time to do another because I've created some new organizers. I've done some small updates to some of my existing organizers. So I just wanted to create one video to give you kind of an overview of everything I have on offer for Unmatched, so you can see what's out there, what's available. Now, before I go into this, just a couple of things I want to cover real quickly. First of all, Restoration Games, the company that publishes Unmatched, they have an official storage solution for Unmatched. It's a large box they call the Battle Box, and it contains 12 smaller boxes they call Boost Cubes, and it's a way to organize and consolidate your Unmatched collection into a smaller space, which is basically what you're looking for in any kind of organizer for Unmatched. Now, this product is not readily available. There's been a couple of crowdfunding campaigns to produce it for those who want it, and they have it listed in their web store, but when I'm recording this video in January of 2026, it's not in stock, so you can't get it from them. But likely it will be in stock again at some point, or they'll run another crowdfunding campaign in the future. So that is an option, and it has definitely its pros and cons. There are also other options for organizers for Unmatched that you can find on places like Etsy, where I sell my organizers. So, look around, take a look at what's out there. I've tried one of these other organizers myself, but I've created my organizers basically because I've looked at the official option, I've looked at what other people have made, and I decided that none of that really suited what I was looking for in an organizer for Unmatched. So I created my own, and I'm making it available to others. And maybe it will work for you. But again, all of these different ones I've seen, the official one, other ones that people have made, they all have their pros and cons. So definitely do your research, and I'm going to try to present in this video what I see as the pros and cons of my product so that you can decide what's going to be the best fit for you. That being said, I will also go ahead and mention that I don't personally sleeve my cards for Unmatched. I do for a couple of games, but Unmatched is not one of them. So when I designed my organizer, I did not design it for sleeved cards. I did go back and create sleeved versions of every one of these organizers because people requested it. People like to sleeve their cards, and that's fine. So I created sleeved versions for all these, but they are really optimized for non-sleeving purposes. And I'm going to show you kind of, again, sort of the pros and cons of how that works with sleeved versus unsleeved, so you can make your own judgment on whether these are a good fit for you if you do sleeve your cards. But I'm just letting you know that up front. These are really optimized for if you don't sleeve your cards. That's where I feel the product is going to shine the most. But having said all of that, let's get right into our tour. I'm going to walk you through all the different products I have, and again, try and point out the pros and cons so that you can make an educated decision about which, if any, of these products will suit your needs. And we'll go over to the table here, and we'll just get right into it. So before I go into my full tour of all these different products, I want to show you sort of like the basic building blocks for each of these organizers. One of them is a tray like this that holds the hero figures. Now, each organizer has a slightly different version or variation on this, but all of them have something like this, a tray that holds the hero figures. As you can see, the tray has like these rails along the edges that the base of the figure slides into. This holds the figures in place so they're not moving around as you travel with the game. They're not bumping into each other. If you paint your figures, which some people do, then that's nice. So you don't have to worry about them rubbing up against each other and maybe messing up your paint job. And just in general, you don't have to worry about them leaning against each other, possibly bending or breaking, their weapons or whatever, right? So all of them have some variation on this. Again, it's going to depend on the specific organizer, but something like this with the rails to hold the figures. And then all of them are going to include these trays, which I call hero trays. This is a tray that is designed to hold everything for a specific hero except for their figure. The deck of cards goes on top, and then underneath you have room for health tiles, sidekick tokens, and whatever other tokens come with that character. Now, there are a few exceptions. There's some characters that don't quite fit into this tray or need some special considerations. One of them is, as you can see, this is a very tight fit. And if you have the character Buffy from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer set, she has 5 more cards in her deck than any of the other heroes. So she will not fit in this tray without some additional considerations, but I do have a version of this tray that's just slightly modified specifically for her. So if you happen to have that set and that hero, when you're ordering one of my organizers, there's a place where you can leave a note about having that character, and I'll send you, along with everything else, her specialized tray so you can fit her into the organizer. Another example would be the Wayward Sisters from the Slings and Arrows set. They have their Cauldron board. That's obviously not going to fit in here, so you'll just have to throw that on top with your rule books and other boards. The T-Rex from one of the Jurassic Park sets, her health dial is not going to fit in here, but I have a specialized organizer just for the Jurassic Park sets, and so that accommodates her health dial. And then if you have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set, and especially if you have the hero decks for Kang and Shredder, they're not going to fit into these trays because, especially if you have like all the deluxe components, those deluxe ninja tokens, which are literally little ninja figures, obviously not going to fit in here. For Shredder, Krang's dice is not going to fit in here, but I do have an organizer for the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set that accommodates all of that. So there are some exceptions to what will fit into this, but it does fit everything for 90, maybe 95% of the heroes that are available. And I do have things to accommodate those few heroes that are the exception. Now, I'm also going to show you the sleeved version, because like I said, I have sleeved versions of all these organizers. So in the sleeved versions, I have a slightly different version of this hero tray. The dimensions are slightly different. It's definitely a good bit taller in that respect, as you can see. It's also a little bit taller on this dimension here. They are the same width, but yeah, slightly different dimensions, and there's more room on the inside to fit the deck of cards after they've been sleeved. So I'm going to show you a couple of decks that I have sleeved just to demonstrate this. And I've sleeved them with different kinds of sleeves so you can sort of see how this might work with the sleeves that you use. So here we have Invisible Man, and he has been sleeved with these Ultra Pro penny sleeves. These are a nice, inexpensive option for sleeving your cards, and they do not fit very tightly around the card. You can see, especially on the top, there's a lot of extra sleeve up there, but the dimensions of this will still accommodate that. You can see if you slide it in like so. It's a tight fit, it's snug, but it fits in there just fine without bending the sleeves. And if you look at it from the side profile, you can see between the top of the deck and the top of the tray, there's a pretty good space there. So it's going to hold everything. In fact, if you're using the sleeved edition, and like I said, if you have the Buffy hero from the Buffy the Vampire set, her extra 5 cards will fit in there just fine without any special accommodation. So that's one option. These are with the Ultra Pro standard. I have another deck that I've sleeved here. We have Jekyll and Hyde, and these have been sleeved with Mayday Games premium sleeves. So these are a good bit thicker. They do fit the cards more tightly around the edges, so that's nice. But I'm going to show you how these fit in here. So, because they are thicker, you can see, if I hold this sideways, that there is a tendency for them to want to expand above the top of the tray. Now, you can squeeze all the air out just by applying a little bit of pressure, and they will go all the way down to like so. So they're, you know, well below the top of the tray there. And my experience with sleeves is that when you sleeve your cards and you keep them, you know, in a box for a while, the sleeves will eventually get broken in, so to speak, and they will have less of a tendency to want to expand. But these are fresh sleeves right out of the pack, so they haven't been broken in. And again, as you can see, there is that tendency to want to expand a little bit. Now, I don't think it's a big issue because anytime you're putting cards in this tray, you're going to have something else sitting on top, right? It's either going to be another tray sitting on top, or it's going to be the game boards or the top of the box, right? The box lid. So something's going to be sitting on top to keep everything in place. And I have sold these sleeve versions to people online, and I've gotten good reviews and responses from them. So, you know, I think it works. I think it's fine. But again, I designed this for my use. I don't sleeve my cards. So I think it's optimized for if you don't sleeve your cards. If you do sleeve your cards, this is an issue that you might run into, is that they want to expand above the top of the tray. And again, of course, that's going to depend on what kind of sleeves you use. As you saw with the penny sleeves, there's plenty of room, you know, at the top of the tray to hold everything. If you do, you know, the more premium style sleeves, it might be a little bit more of a problem. But my goal here is just to be upfront, just to show you this is what it looks like. You know, it can fit in there, but the tendency might be for it to expand. All right, so just so you're aware, and you can make an educated decision if this is a good fit for you. Having covered that, you have a basic idea of the building blocks of each of these organizers, so we can get right in to the rest of the tour with the first product on our tour, and we'll see what that is. Okay, so the first stop on our tour is going to be for the Unmatched small box sets. I think we're going to start small, we're going to work our way up, and then we're going to show you some of the more specialized stuff. So this is the standard small box set that comes with 2 heroes. Any of these small box sets will work with this organizer. And as you can see, you got room for a couple of rule books on top. You also have room for a couple of those small trifold boards that come with these sets. And then underneath, you have 6 heroes in here. So we have these trays, which hold the figures. You've got 3 of those. And then you've got room for 6 of these hero decks, 3 on the bottom, 3 on the top. And then on the side, you have another little tray that is sort of just a spacer, but also you could maybe throw some things like the door tokens from the map that comes in the Beowulf set. So you can throw those in there if you want. But otherwise, it just sort of takes up that extra space on the side there. And that is the small box organizer. All right, I also want to show you the sleeved version of this organizer. As you can see, it's essentially the same. You've got these trays on the side to hold the figures. You've got 3 hero trays on top, 3 more on the bottom. You've got this same little tray on the side to sort of take up space and maybe hold a couple of extra tokens if you want. As you will see, though, it's worth noting, is that the organizer comes right up to the edge of the box. So there is no room for boards or rule books unless you are okay with a little bit of lid lift. I'll just show you how that looks real quick. So if you put the same boards and rule books inside, then you're going to have that much lid lift there, a little less than an inch. So there's that. That's why, again, I say these organizers, in my opinion, are optimized for not sleeving, but there is this option if you want to sleeve. Also, before we move on from this organizer, I should mention that either the sleeved version or the standard version, either one, these trays that hold the figures are a little tight. They will hold most of the figures, but there are a few that you might have a hard time getting in here. like Bigfoot comes to mind. He's kind of an extra large figure, so you might have a little more challenge getting him. I don't know the characters from the Witcher set real well, but I know one of them has an extra large figure, so you might have a hard time getting him in there. So there are those challenges, but otherwise, that most of the figures will fit in there just fine. Okay, up next is the medium size box. This is the size that was used for all of the Marvel sets and also the 2 Witcher sets. And my organizer for this has room on top for a couple of rule books. Also a couple of these full-size boards, the larger bifold boards. And then underneath for 6 different heroes, you've got 6 hero decks. I'll also just pull a couple of these out real quick to show you that underneath these, there are some spacers. There's a total of 4 spacers that just raise these decks up to meet the top of these trays. These are the figure trays, which each of these has 5 slots for heroes, even though you can only fit 6 heroes in here. I'll talk about that in a second. And then it has a spot for the equipment tokens from the Marvel decks, the Marvel sets, if you have those. So you got a nice slot for those. And that's basically the organizer. Now I'm going to point out a couple of things here. Like I said, you've got extra slots, a total of 4 extra slots. So this is actually a nice choice for heroes like Cloak and Dagger, which have a single deck, a single set of tokens and stuff that will fit into one of these trays, but they've got 2 figures, so you've got an extra slot. You can put both of their figures in here. Also, if you have, again, the Wayward Sisters from the Slings and Arrows set, that has 3 figures. So, again, this would be a good choice for that. You've got room to put some extra figures in here, along with your 6 decks, and a couple of boards and rule books. All right, I also have a sleeved version of this, so I'll show you that next. Okay, and here is the sleeved version. As you can see, it's still 6 of these hero trays. There's no need for spacers underneath because these trays are a little bit taller. And then you have 2 of these trays that fit the figures. Basically the same deal. You have a spot here for those equipment tokens if you're using those with the Marvel sets. And this one has the nice benefit, as far as the sleeved ones go, is that you can still put a couple of boards on top and close the lid without any lid lift. So that's nice. Okay, so now let's take a look at the one that started it all, the big box organizer. This is for any of the larger 4-character sets, like from Battle of Legends Volume 1 through 3, Cobble and Fog, Slings and Arrows, etc. And as you can see, you got room for a couple of rule books on top. You have room for 3 of these large bifold boards, and then underneath that you have kind of the standard issue. You've got some figure trays, you can hold 6 figures each, and you've got hero decks. You've got 2 layers of 6 hero decks here, so you can fit up to 12 heroes in this box. Another variation that I offer in my shop is that you can purchase this with some spacers, and I'll show you that real quick. And the purpose of these spacers is that once you put them in, like so, you can, instead of the three large bifold boards, you can put 2 of these smaller trifold boards inside and still put some rule books on top, and there's no lid lift. So that's another option. The purpose of the spacers is to keep these from sliding around too much during transport, and also to keep everything else in its place as you move about, right? If you picked up this whole box and you flip it over, everything is still going to stay where it's supposed to be because of the spacers. Without the spacers, things would just go flying everywhere. So that's the purpose of the spacers. If you want to keep a couple of these small boards in there instead of the large boards, that is an option. And then, of course, as always, I've got a sleeved version, so I'll show you that real quick. All right, so here's the sleeved version. Still similar figure trays, still 12 hero trays, 2 layers of 6 each. Again, as with the small box that I showed you, in the sleeved version, these trays are going to come up all the way to the top of the box. In fact, just a couple of millimeters taller than the edge of the box, which means there's not really any room for additional boards or rule books or stuff on top without creating some lid lift. So just something to be aware of if you're going with the sleeved edition. Okay, so what I've shown you up till now, those are sort of the basics. Now we're getting into some more specialized stuff, and figure we'll start with the Jurassic Park organizer. So this organizer fits inside the box for Jurassic Park Dr. Sattler versus T-Rex. It won't fit in the one for Engine versus Raptor, so that's important to know. But inside here you'll find room for a couple of rule books, room for a couple of these smaller trifold boards, and then underneath you have a space for the T-Rex. You've got the 3 Raptors, and then you've got 2 other heroes, and in this case I've got Dr. Sattler and Engine. And there is space in the middle here if you have like the promo figure of Dr. Malcolm that you could get if you pre-ordered the Jurassic Park sets, then he'll fit in there too. And there you go, you got all of your Jurassic Park figures inside of here. Also, I'll pull this out so we can get to these decks. You can see we've got room for all the hero decks. So you got your 2 human characters, you've got your Raptors, and yes, all 3 of the Raptors' health dials will fit in there, no problem. And then you've got your T-Rex over here, and obviously the T-Rex dial will not fit in this, so we have a space underneath to hold the T-Rex dial. And also this just kind of create some extra depth there, which will hold these hero trays up to the same height as the top of the figure tray. Now, speaking of which, I was going to show you the sleeved edition, and then I didn't realize until I had just started recording this video that I don't have the sleeved edition printed. So I'll just explain to you real briefly. Essentially, the only difference is that because the hero trays for the sleeved edition are taller, there isn't room on the bottom for that T-Rex health dial. So it just fits into a spot here in the corner under the T-Rex figure. So there's still room for it. It's not an issue at all. And everything is still the same height in the sleeved edition, so you still have room for a couple of boards and a couple of rule books on top. So that is the organizer for Unmatched Jurassic Park, both sets, and it has to fit in the Dr. Sattler versus T-Rex box because you have some extra depth this way to accommodate the T-Rex figure. All right, we're getting close to the end of the tour here. This is my organizer insert for Unmatched Adventures Tales to Amaze. It is worth noting I do also have one for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set. We're going to get to that in a minute. These are not interchangeable. There's enough differences that you got to get the one for the specific set you have. As you see, there's room for some rule books on top. There is room for one of these large bifold boards, and then also the specialized Unmatched Adventures board that comes with the set. And then underneath that, you have kind of your standard hero figure trays. You have a specialized figure tray for the Mothman and the Martian Invader. I'm going to pull those out so you can see just a little bit more how this one just kind of sits in there, but it has a couple of things to hold it in place where it's supposed to go. This its beam goes in the corner, and then the Mothman goes on top, and he sort of holds everything there in place. So you got all that storage for the figures, and then we get down to the decks. And what you have here is you have a total of, let's see, 11 hero decks. You can fit 11 hero decks in here. You've got, 6 on top and then 5 underneath. This space here is occupied with some other stuff, so we'll get to that in a second. But yes, you can fit 11 heroes in here. You also have trays for your 2 villains. We've got a Mothman here with his bridge tiles and his deluxe tokens, and also his initiative card underneath. So we've got everything for him in there. We've got the same for the Martian Invader, his deck with all of his tokens, his initiative card, even the little deluxe figures for the Martians. So all of that. And then underneath that, we have this little tray here. This tray holds the initiative cards for the players, and then all of the amazing event cards. So you've got all of that on this side, and then on the other side, we have the tokens here, the player number tokens. Okay, so there's that little tray. Underneath that and the villain trays, we have a space here that holds the life dials for the villains. And then we have this little removable tray, which holds this threat token. And then also these tokens for the Martians and for the Mothman if you don't have the deluxe components. All right, so that fits there. And then over here we have a stack of, I'm not going to pull them all out, but we have a stack of 6 minion trays. Each minion tray holds the deck for that minion, their health dial, their initiative cards, their token, and any other tokens that come with that. Let me see if I can pull out one that has some more tokens. Yeah, here we go. Here's the blob. So the blob has all of his tokens. Everything fits in there just fine. All right, so that is the organizer for Unmatched Adventures Tales to Amaze. I'm going to show you the sleeved version next. Okay, so here's the sleeved version. First of all, I'm going to point out the similarities. You've got similar trays here for the figures. They're all a little bit taller, but more or less serve the same function. You've got minion trays. Again, there's 6 of them. They are also taller, so instead of fitting all in one column here, you got to spread out to 2 columns. You've still got villain trays here. You've still got basically the same kind of stuff underneath. This tray is a good bit different. This is the tray, I'll show you real quick, that holds these tiles for the different player numbers. They fit in like that, and then you've got these cards for the player initiative and the amazing events, and those are going to fit in there, and there's room if you sleeve those, they'll fit in there as well, sleeved. So that tray is a little bit different. The tray underneath, this is where you put your health dials for the villains, and that works basically the same. You've still got a removable tray here for those tokens. Underneath these minion trays, in order to bring them up to the same height as this tray and the villain trays, once you put the villain trays there is a spacer that goes underneath. All right, so there's that. Mostly because the minion trays sort of expand out into a second area here, you have fewer hero trays in here. Instead of 11, like the unsleeved version, the standard version, the sleeved version only fits 9. Now, that's actually a slight improvement because it used to be 8, but I was able to find a way to sort of rearrange things and adjust the measurements on a few things and squeeze in one more hero. That's a pretty recent update. So, another thing about the sleeve version is you'll notice that these trays over here actually come up over the top of the board. I mean, top of the box. All right, and the other trays over on this side come up right to the top of the box, maybe over by just a couple of millimeters. So you still have room for your boards and stuff. They will fit on top of here, and also your rule books. But you just got to be aware that when you close the box, the lid is, you are going to have some lid lift. So we've got about that much lid lift there. A little less than an inch, but that's how it is. And that's pretty much unavoidable if you want to get all of this content into one box sleeved. So that is the sleeved version of Tales to Amaze. We're going to move on to our final step on the tour, which is our organizer for the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set. All right, here's the final stop on our tour. This is the new organizer for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set for Unmatched Adventures. And right off the bat, a couple of things I want to show you is, first of all, these two trays over here. If you have all of the deluxe content for the TMNT set, which I did have, I've since passed on all that deluxe content to someone who is more interested in those deluxe components than me. But if you have that, those ninja figures that go with Shredder will fit into these two trays. All right, so that's what these are for, if you have those deluxe components. If you don't have the deluxe components like me, then these are basically just spacers to keep your rule books and your boards from sliding back and forth and to keep everything underneath them in place. So these are either for those ninja figures if you have them, or they're just spacers. But we'll set those aside and we'll get into everything else. We have a whole bunch of rule books here. So you've got plenty of room for some stuff on top. You've got two of these large bifold boards and also the board that comes with the TMNT set. And then underneath that you have a whole lot of content. So let's go through this. I'm going to start by pulling out first one of these figure trays to show you how, because these figure trays are so deep, it's very easy to fit two heroes into each set of rails. So you can fit a lot of hero figures into these trays. Over here we have a tray for the villains. We've got the figures for Shredder and Krang, and then if you have the hero decks for these characters, then you have a space for those as well, so they will fit in there too. Then over here you've got all 6 minions. You've got 5 of these, what are sort of like standard minion trays. They hold all of the content for one minion inside there. So you've got 5 of those, and then Slash comes with his own specialized tray because he has more cards than any of the other minions. So he has a specialized tray with his name on the bottom, and it holds everything including his extra cards. So those are the minions. Then down in this corner we have the villains. We have Shredder and Krang, and their trays hold all of their tokens and so forth, including in Krang's. He's got all of his tokens plus his die will also fit in there. So we've got all of that. And then we've got a whole bunch of these hero decks, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I just want to get underneath them real quick to show you. Underneath here we have this tray like we have in the Tales to Amaze. It holds these tokens for the player numbers, and on this side it holds the initiative cards for the heroes, and then all of the ally and henchman cards from this set. So that'll fit in this tray, and then underneath that we have this tray here. It's got a little spot for your threat token, and it's got room for the health dials for the villains, Shredder and Krang, both in their villain form and in their hero form, right? So it's got all 4 of those health dials in there. All right, then let's talk about hero decks. So obviously there's a lot of room in this box. We put a lot of heroes in here. There's room for 2 layers of 6 hero decks, so that's 12 hero decks, plus a 3rd layer of 5 for a total of 17 hero decks in this box. So you can fit a lot of content. I was really excited when I got this box, not just to have the new Unmatched Adventures content, but for just how much content I could fit in this box once I had it organized. Now, a couple of things. I want to talk about the deluxe components. So if you have all the deluxe components, you want to know if you can fit them in this box. Well, I already showed you we have trays for the ninja figures, if you have those. Everything else will fit into the boxes. The minions, their deluxe tokens and stuff will fit into their trays. Same with the villains. Their deluxe components will fit into their trays. If you have all of the extra figures from the extra toppings box, the 4 extra hero figures for the turtles will definitely fit into these trays, along with the 2 extra figures for Shredder and Crane will fit into here. And then what about those 6 minion figures? Well, they will not fit into this organizer with its standard arrangement, but I also offer this tray here. This tray has 3 rails, and each rail will fit 2 minion figures, so you can fit all 6 of your minion figures in here. And this simply takes the place of 3 heroes. All right, so if you want to slide this in here, it will replace 3 hero decks. So you can have, instead of 17, you can have 14 heroes and get your minion figures in there. So that's an optional buy. If you want to have that, I'll send you this instead of 3 of these hero trays, so you can fit all of your deluxe content into this box. So that is the organizer for Unmatched Adventures Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm going to show you real quick the sleeved version, which is a little bit different. All right, so here is the sleeved edition of our Unmatched Adventures TMNT organizer. On the left side here, I'll point out you still have room for your board that comes with the set, plus a couple of your large bifold boards and some rules. You still have the same trays here for your ninja figures, if you have those. You have here, and this is where it starts to get a little different, you have here your, you've got 6 hero decks, so you can fit 6 hero decks there. Then you've got 6 minion decks. You don't need a specialized deck for Slash if you're going sleeved, because again, there's already extra room for cards at the top of each of these, but there's those. And then underneath that, you've got 5 more hero decks. Over here on the side, you've got 2 more hero decks and a little spacer underneath. So you can fit a total of 13 heroes in here. You've got your 2 villain decks. You've got this tray for the player number tiles and all the other cards, the player initiative cards, those ally and henchman cards. And then underneath here, you've got room for, again, your unmatched, your health dials for the villains. So you've got that. All right, so that's all of that. You've got plenty of room here for figures. This is different. This will hold your villain figures. It actually has 4 rails. So it'll hold your villain figures for Shredder and Crane, but also if you have all those extra figures from the extra toppings box, the figures for the minions, those will fit in here as well. You don't need any special consideration for that. Those will just fit. Again, talking about the rest of the deluxe components, you've still got these trays for the ninja figures. All the other deluxe components will fit in their respective trays. So, and again with these, there's plenty of room. Actually, in this case, there's plenty of room for 2 or sometimes even 3 figures in each rail. So all those other extra figures for the turtles and for Shredder and Crane, if you have all the deluxe components, those will fit in here as well, just fine. All right, so that's the sleeve version. As you can see, it fits everything, including 13 different heroes. Not quite as many as the standard edition, but still pretty good. And that's the sleeve version. Okay, so there it is, the full video tour of my complete line of organizer products for the Unmatched game system. If you have watched all the way to the end, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate it. Also, I hope it was informative to you. That was the whole point of this. Obviously, I'm trying to sell products, but I want you to make an informed decision. As I said in the beginning, I make my organizers for myself. I tailor to my preferences. There are other options out there, including an official storage solution from Restoration Games. So please do your research. That's what this video is here for. It's to inform you about my products, look into other products, and make a decision that's going to be best for you and the way that you've collected this game and the way you want to store this game. That being said, if you have any questions after watching this video, please feel free to reach out. You can leave a comment on this video. I'll respond to it, or you can reach out to me on Etsy. I'll be happy to answer your questions there. And there are links in the description of this video to my Etsy shop. If you saw something here that you want to buy, if you think it will suit your needs and be a good way to help you consolidate and organize your collection of Unmatched, then please come on by and purchase one of my products. Again, my name was Nathan with Nice at Dice. Thank you so much for watching, and you enjoy the rest of your day.